Um, it's almost like a mantra. Like I want my music and my art to sort of like follow that broad Zen path.
Then
And it just sounded cool, like Lenny Zen. I mean,
Lenny
he's
Zen. Could you give us your origin story, a little bit about how you got into music and how you started?
yeah, bro, for sure. It's been a long journey. I pretty much for as long as memory serves me, I've been into either like playing or listening to music. Both of my parents, I feel like it's kind of the standard artist story. Like both of my parents were pretty musically inclined.
Mm.
My dad was a guitarist in various bands like growing up and through like most of his adulthood. And as soon as I was like old enough to play drums, he put me on to drums, so we could have like a little in-house band. I think he wanted a tiny band member. So I started playing drums when I was really young and then picked up like piano a little bit and guitar. And then I started making beats when I was probably like 12, 13, and that like really set it off. Like that I think playing instruments was always amazing and I connected with it. But when I realized like I could do it all on my own, like off my laptop, it was like, this is crazy. Um, and that was kind of like I always say to people, like, I feel like making beats was like my version of like video games kind of growing up. Like I just
Mm.
did it. I'd like get home from school and like be making
Do
beats and
that. That's so sick.
yeah. And it was mostly hip hop. Like I grew up in Chicago, so I feel like
Oh, wow.
I feel like a lot of my sound was influenced by like Kanye, Lupe Fiasco,
Mm.
like most of the like big name Chicago guys are who were really pushing me, like Chance too,
Oh,
when I was in high
chance.
school was big. Um, yeah, man. That's kind of like the childhood story. And then through college, I was still like making beats and I was kind of getting more into the indie realm as
Mm.
opposed to like super hip hop. I've
Mm.
made like 1,000 rap songs, man, honestly, but I just never
Really?
felt like, yeah, bro, I can send you some after this. But I just never felt like it was really like my bag. You know what I'm saying? I felt
Mhm.
like I wanted to make more like genre bending stuff, but I just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
like have the chops yet. I didn't feel like my production was there. I didn't feel like my writing was there or any of that. But slowly throughout college, I was just kind of experimenting with making more like indie stuff. And um, I think it was like the year I graduated, or I guess a couple years back, I um, was finishing up like the Beginner's Mind stuff, my first EP. And
Mm.
it was the first time, and I worked with my friend Lewis, who will come up a lot too. I'll bring this guy up a lot. But that long story short, that was like the first time I felt like my songs were good enough to like put into the
Put out
world.
into the world.
Had a SoundCloud, like had a YouTube where I'd put beats and stuff, but it was never like this is me, this is my story. I want to start like showing people my art. It took
Wow.
a while to get to that point. So yeah, that's kind of the evolution. Long story
That's
long.
sick. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I try to do like a bit of research. I think I saw like I want to say it's Kangaroo Files, right?
Oh yeah, that's like a house project I did. I
Yeah,
made
yeah.
a house kit. Yeah.
I'm like I'm just amazed at how I mean, like you said, you want to get into genre bending. I think after listening to Artifact of Attraction, that's definitely evident, you
Yeah.
know. And that kind of leads to my next question, what is what are you trying to tell this time around with Artifact of Attraction, compared to your last EP? What's the
Sure.
concept you're hoping to convey?
Yeah. I think I'm reaching more towards making like a very consistent sounding project. That was the biggest thing in terms of like growth as an artist. Um, these songs tell a story, I think a lot more so than in like Beginner's Mind.
Mhm.
Um, Beginner's Mind is quite literally like the concept of a beginner's mind where the opportunities as a beginner are endless. Like there are no closed doors. I'm just gonna try shit. There's a couple hip hop cuts on that. There's a
Mhm.
couple kind of indie cuts. Like Whereas Artifact of Attraction, I think I'm leaning more into like making a consistent sound.
Mm.
Um, the name itself, I my friends have always like given me shit that I can only write love songs, but like I can only write like relationship based songs, and it's less that it's all I'm capable of, and more like it's just what I end up doing. It's like what's in my head. I think my music's pretty heady. It's like my internal monologue. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And anyway, I had a few songs and demos kind of like packaged, just like maybe this could start to be like my next project. And um, amidst working on these demos, I took a trip to the desert with my housemates. And while we were there, we got like a bunch of film photos and stuff, just of random stuff like throughout our trip. And
Mm.
when the film got developed, there's this one photo of like me standing. I got to find the photo. I honestly I don't know that I even have it. But there's
Wow.
a photo of me standing in front of this like sort of like banner, this like metal banner thing.
Oh.
It said Artifact of Attraction. And it was
Oh.
just what the like that's insane that that's the name of the project, like right there instantly, literally, just seeing the
Wow.
photo, which we didn't even realize that that thing had like been in the background really. But it just made sense because all of these songs are sort of like individual artifacts of attraction that when you put them together, it makes this big sort of story and larger artifact. So that's kind of the gist of the backstory, where we got the name, how the songs came about. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Dang, that is so crazy. Yeah, you definitely have to find that photo and have it like
for
framed or
sure.
something. Because that's
Yeah,
like, I don't know, I think moments like that, having such a big impact, especially just like out of nowhere, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden it's like, that's it. That's the one. That's
yeah.
so cool to hear. That's really sick.
Yeah, it made sense, bro. It made sense for sure.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear more about like, going down the timeline of the project, what were some of the first songs you worked on and, what were some of the last?
Yeah, for sure. Good question. I think it started, VW was one of the first ones.
Mm.
I actually wrote originally, I had those chords and that melody, and I just had a recording of me playing them like with my acoustic guitar.
Mm.
And I mentioned Lewis. He goes by Lewalk. He's like
Wow.
my German musical brother. He's literally the only guy I've like made songs with. And then a couple of his homies too have like come in and like done drums and done mastering. And but he's freak level talent, man. Like if I can plug anybody, it's Lewalk. He's unbelievable.
Check them out.
So I sent him this is like the I guess one of the first songs. So I sent him those stems and I was just like, what do you think? And I sent him a couple reference tracks and just like, where can we take this? And then we sort of shaped that song going back and forth for a little bit.
Mm.
You fast forward a few months, I was living in Europe
Oh,
from
wow.
like September through December last year.
Really?
Um, yeah, and was living with a friend of mine in Portugal. Lewis lived in Germany. We were sitting on a couple of these early stage demos. Project hadn't really come together, and we were talking. We were like, we got to meet and like do this for real. We got to have a session that's like the artifact of attraction, the whole project. So I went out there in November with one of my homies who's actually touring with me. Uh,
Nice.
we went out there and it was literally like us sharing a double bed and like in this like little town in Germany, like freezing cold outside. The vibe was insane, bro. It was incredible. And we were going to Lewis's every morning at like 9 a.m. and we would leave at like 11 p.m. Like it was like lock in for like
Wow.
5 days, I want to say.
What a
Yeah, man.
process. Wow.
So like, I mean, I don't want to go too in the weeds, but track by track, like Carousel, I pretty much wrote and produced that whole like thing. It was pretty much done. We just added some like special sauce.
Mm.
VW was close to done. We like added a bridge and did some other things, but Guess I'll Go Without, She Lives for the Night, Comfortable. Those songs were all like fresh, just maybe I had like a melody or chords or the song was kind of written in my head, but then we just like made those on the spot, which was sick. And we worked super fast. And there's some cuts that didn't make it. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other tracks that are like insane that I didn't mention that we worked on. But yeah, man, that's pretty much that's it. So we had those sessions for a week and
Wow.
I've never locked in like that. It was like incredible, bro. I want to do it again so badly.
That is so sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
I'm like mind blown. I can't believe you were like in Europe and like
Hmm.
how did you meet Lewis? Like
Yeah.
how did
So
that
Lewis is a friend of a friend who's like doing some mixing work.
mm,
And I met him and we were like messaging on Discord. And I was gonna send him Beginner's Mind to just do the mixing. And
mm,
he was like, "Hey, if you don't mind, like I hear a couple things production wise that I would like to do.
mm,
Nothing crazy, right?" He's like, I want to try this bass line. I'm gonna add some Rhodes here. What if we did this part in like a minor section instead of major, whatever, like these little tweaks." But he sent these little tweaks back, and I was like, "Oh my God, that you just like doubled the quality of the song with the tiniest little edits." You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And it became less about the mix and more about like we need to cook, like we need to be producing songs together. I'm mixing, like I'll hire whoever, whatever, but like we got to be cooking together. And then you spend enough time on the phone with somebody, and it was like I think Lewis seems like a really cool guy too, man. Like we should link in person. And it was just a matter of like, is he going to be in LA or around here, or am I going to be over there? And it just so happened that I was over there, and yeah, like I said, bro, like I'd run it back in a second. Yeah, man, it was a pretty crazy origin story for sure.
That is so sick. Yeah, man. I love like hearing about collaborative processes and how people meet and you never know like who you're gonna meet that's just gonna end up, you know, conveying what you're trying to tell even higher and it's that's just
Yeah,
sick. That's a sick story.
yeah,
So
man, for sure.
yeah, I'd love
I think we've leveled each other up a little bit, like
yeah, definitely.
it's been like a fun push and pull of like what we both like, and I think you can kind of hear our separate influences throughout the project, which is really sick too.
That's so cool. I'm curious, like, is there any influences, either musically or in your life that you can you can pull from the project that affected the project or
Yeah, for sure. I think for this one, like Tyler is kind of like the umbrella. I think, like
oh
you mentioned, you were thinking of Igor. Tyler's just so like in my DNA as an artist. I feel like that he's gonna come through in like every project.
that's it.
So like a bit of him. Bakar, man, like
Oh
Bakar
yeah.
is a huge influence of mine. And I was listening to him
Mm,
a stupid amount when we made this. So I think there's a few cuts, especially where it's like I can almost hear like song for song influence. And then man, there's so many. Like McGee is a big one too. Obviously, like Two Star wasn't out yet. I didn't really know what that was gonna sound like. But like old McGee, like his early records, I feel like
mm,
vocally and stuff have been huge influences. And shit, Steve Lacy, like I'd be lying if that wasn't in
yeah.
there. Uh, Steve is like
You're
he
naming my like top 5 on my Spotify
Yeah,
right
bro,
now.
it's like same. And then also like some smaller, like Alice Phoebe Lou. I think
Yup.
she's an artist that
She's
production wise, like I'm reaching towards. Like I would love to get on that level, but I mean I could go for days. There's so many.
that's
Mila for you,
awesome.
she's
Yeah,
sick. I'd listen to her. Anyway, yeah, that's a few of them.
great music. That is so sick.
Yeah,
Um,
appreciate it.
I know. I think I told you earlier about like the Tyler thing. There's certain sounds I can't put it into words, but it's like kind of like the harp. No, no, not like a harp, but it has like the
I know
swirling
what you're talking about. Like the arpeggiated synth.
arpeggio. There we go. It was
Yeah,
on the tip of my tongue.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, bro. That was a great in the back half of VW. That one,
Yes.
bro. That that was a crazy moment too. Like Lewis has this Moog synth in his little studio, and we were just like toying around with the idea. And that was like the first take. Like we got it set up to where we needed it, and it was like, okay, hit record, bang, and we let that thing rip. And I love that. I love that part of the song. And very, yeah, very like running out of time,
Yes,
Tyler-esque for sure.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I
yeah.
really, really, really,
Um, and I
really.
try to jam those, bro. Like I've got a little Moog in my studio now, and I try to jam it into like every song. Like even when it totally doesn't work, I'm just like, you got to try it because those sounds are insane, bro. Like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy. I like, especially like I took a listen, walked around the park, put in my headphones, and I swear, like, I don't know, it's something about it. I think when people finally get to listen to it, they'll notice a lot of sounds that are just like, wow, I've never heard this before. They're almost warm, so authentic, makes the day brighter. So
yeah. I'm
yeah,
glad you feel that way. That means a lot, honestly. Yeah,
yeah, it's super cool, and I think I felt that way about Carousel, which was the first song I heard by
yeah,
you. I think you sent it to me, and yeah, I'd love to hear more about the music video. Actually, I
yeah.
love the music video, and I was like going through the credits. I'm like, wow, this guy edited it, like directed it. Like, what was it like to make the video for Carousel?
Appreciate it. The video was fun, man. So that was when I was living in Lisbon in Portugal. That was all just like in the neighborhood where we were living. We
Mhm.
had this old kind like one of those like mom cameras, bro. Like when
Mm.
you were like a little kid, like the little digital
Little
like
digital, yeah.
yeah, bro. And we were like, let's try shooting on this and just like see how it looks. And we did a couple test shots and it had that nice sort of green and like the color palette was really sort of like dreamy and
Mhm.
nice and saturated too. And it was like, yeah, I think we could shoot a video on like let's just try it. Because
Mhm.
I tried shooting another video when I was in Lisbon and it just like didn't really work. And we shot it on like a more standard camera and it just like the energy wasn't right and whatever. So it's funny, like the cheap kind of shitty camera was the one that like had the energy.
Yeah.
But that was really just us walking around the neighborhood, like this beautiful part of town, like along the river, and then looping back, there was this little carnival that I was running around the neighborhood a lot at the time, and I saw them like building this thing. It was going to be there for a couple days, and it was like we have to shoot in the next 2 nights. Like it's literally like it's carousel. It's perfect, and I didn't have any visuals at that moment that encapsulated like my time in Europe, and I felt like it was so important visually to have that represented.
Mhm.
Um, Even if just for myself, like nobody has to see the thing. It's like just for me to be able to go back on this time in my life and like the video encapsulates it perfectly. The song encapsulates it perfectly and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I thought it was really cute
Yeah.
and like the colors ended up being really sick and it kind of told the story.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm really glad you like it too. That song is I'm really happy with that one for sure.
Yeah, I know. There's like there's moments like sparse across the project. Carousel has one of them where it's like you like stop for a second and then
Yeah,
you
the
go.
bridge. Yeah, bro.
Yes. I love like you have like little details that make it very very satisfying to
Yeah.
like just listen all the way through. And you know, I feel that way about She Lives for the Night. There's like an intensity at the end.
Yeah, that thing's crazy, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm just curious, like, is there any
Yeah,
standout moments or highlights from the project that
for
really
sure.
stood out for you?
For sure. I'm glad that you noticed those moments. I think um that's been one of those things like growth wise as an artist. I'll just no longer I don't click with demos I make that don't have those moments. Like if it feels just like it's driving the whole way through and nothing really makes it pop,
Mhm.
it's like that to me is where it goes in the like back burner bin, you know? All these songs, yeah, I don't know. I think every song has a little moment, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
And it's very intentional, like there are little synth sounds trickled into the end of the intro, the ultraviolet song that are like so important to me. And then in Carousel, like the switch moment
Yeah.
and like some of there's actually like a little child xylophone that
Oh.
Lewis like thrifted and tucked into like a couple little hooks after I left Germany. He because that was like our thing. We were like, we need to get this. We couldn't get it while I was there. But
Mhm.
then those little, like if you listen really closely, those little taps add a lot of like you feel
Texture.
it, like it, yeah,
Yeah.
texture. So that was really important. I don't know, but the full standout moments, man, like VW, that second hook where the synth comes in is crazy to me.
Mm.
You called it with She Lives for the Night. The outro there is really special. I think the vocal runs at the end of Comfortable on the end of the project were really
Yes.
fun for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Love
bro,
that.
that was me like fucking 50 takes, bro, just trying to
Oh
nail
man.
that thing. So that was really fun. That'll be fun live too.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. I think every song has like a special moment, and it's cool to hear you connect with different parts because everybody I've played it for has sort of those different moments that really stand out for them. And I think that's a sign of, for me as an artist, it's like a cool sign that people are resonating if, everything has like kind of clicks for different parts for different people.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I had to choose one, I told you this earlier, but guess I'll go without. It's like,
Yeah, bro.
man, those like I just want to know what it was like in the studio when you're making that. Like, I don't know how you were able to make it feel so alive. Like those
Yeah.
chords when they come in at, like around like 1 minute and 30 seconds. Yeah, I think it's like the 1 minute 30 mark.
Yeah.
Bro, it just
Yeah. I'm
changes.
glad you feel that way. That was a fun song, bro. I had I I mentioned some of the influences earlier. I call them like chucks, like those single strums, like really staccato, like
Mhm.
where the song starts. I've been listening to like Super Rich Kids, Frank Ocean, that's a big one. Like
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Bakar has a cut like that. I'm forgetting. It's off his new project. I forget which track it was. Benny
Oh,
and the Jets, like that song is great. The
okay.
piano just clicking in, like so I was like, I want to make this. Like, I want to do a Lenny version of this. And
Mm,
that was like towards the end of the week in Germany. And I was just sitting there with the guitar and Lewis. And
mm,
that song was so organic, dude. Like, I was just sitting there. And I was like, I'm going to try, let's just like record these chucks. Like, let's just start with this. And I recorded those. And then Lewis tracked some like real simple drums, which are the drums throughout the entire track. We had a friend come in and play live drums at the end to give it like sauce. But the
mm.
original, like the demo, was literally just like clicks, like so simple. But I think it let us write a crazy ass melody. Like those words came real quick.
Mhm.
The melody came really quickly. And it just that whole song, I feel like we got done in like an afternoon and some change. Like we pushed through it. And then that last like 30 seconds, that's again a testament to Lewis just adding a couple little layers that really built that thing into like from demo to like finished product. And yeah, it was really fun though. Like that was a song where I felt like we were really going back and forth with ideas and it just sort of like, well, what if you do this? Okay, cool, but what if we try this? And it happened really organically. And I don't know, I think it's a fun cut too, because you can hear that it's very like you can almost tell we were just like messing around in the studio and like came up with that one, I feel like, which is cool. So I'm glad you like that song though. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's definitely my favorite. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited to listen more and more. Like you said, there's a lot of little details. Like I didn't even lock into the little xylophone. Like that's so crazy. There's little elements in there. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to re-listen for sure.
sick.
And yeah, I guess my next question I wanted to touch more on you know your live performance, that's coming up very soon. What are
Yeah,
what are you most excited to perform live, or are you just excited to just do
yeah.
it all?
I mean, I've only played like a couple mini shows for like friends and friends of friends. So I'm just excited to like get on stage and let it rip in front of more people.
Mm.
Um, I do love the energy, like personality wise. I love just it's like you have to listen to my songs right now. Like you don't have a choice. It's not like I'm sending you an MP3 and I'm like, yo, you should listen. It's like, no, like you're here, you're gonna hear it. So
Yeah,
I think it's just a fun opportunity to like hear the songs how they were intended to be heard. In terms of specifics, She Lives for the Night, like we played that a couple weeks back and that went crazy. Like uh I love soloing on guitar. Like I think it's so fun and to do that live is just like so electric and I'm really excited for that song. And then honestly, VW will be really cool. Like I think we're
yeah.
gonna open with that track. I think I'll probably come out to that and I just think it's gonna hit crazy live.
Yo, you
Like
have almost like a rap flow on
speaker.
that song too, which I really.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like the rap stuff is really fun, I think, because I don't have to worry about playing. I can just literally run around and
Yeah,
like
run around the
bounce
energy.
off the walls. Exactly. And like get the crowd going. And it'll
Mm.
be fun. Like I'll pick up the guitar eventually and we'll slow it down a little bit for a portion. But yeah, man, I'm excited to play all of them, bro. But yeah, VW and She Lives for the Night are both like I think they're gonna sound so like raw live. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm excited to if I do see it live, like the she's a villain, that one
Yeah.
moment. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm super stoked. But yeah, I guess I always like to end off these conversations just asking, what's some music or artists that other people should check out, and
Mm.
any last words from you for the future of Lenny Zen.
Yeah. Uh, I'll do artists and then future of Lenny Zen. So artists that people should check out.
Mm,
Other than the influences I dropped earlier, Loving is a band that like I think they make perfect records. Like I think their catalog is literally perfect, and I don't say that lightly. These guys are
loving.
like not they're not human, bro. I would check them out.
Yeah,
Like
check them out.
it's leaning deep into the indie. It's like psychedelic indie folk. It's weird, man. Like I don't even know how to I can't put it in a box.
Mm.
It's like the Beatles and Tame Impala had a baby. It's weird, man. But
Oh, I
anyway,
love that.
they're incredible. Like I think as I grow up and live more life, and I just want to reach to make more songs like them that are a little bit more like rooted in just like classic production. Anyway, I'm off my rant.
No, 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 that
Loving's
sounds awesome.
crazy. Loving's crazy. Um, I think other artists I would check out, like new people I've been liking a lot. Honestly, like the Biking with Francis guys are crazy. I really like their sound. I'm excited to hear them like evolve and start making like I'm excited to hear their next sound. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
I
totally.
like those guys a lot. Other people, I gotta think of like people to check out, man. Um, I really, I mentioned her earlier, but Alice Phoebe Lou is another one. Like
Which
her
is
voice is incredible, her production is incredible. Some of these artists, bro, I listen to and I'm like, I don't even make music. Like if this exists in the world, seriously, it's like this is such a level up. And she's one of those artists.
that's
And
awesome.
then last one, Adrian Lenker, if I'm pronouncing that right, and like Big Thief, that band,
Yeah,
insane as
great.
well, bro. Like unbelievable songwriters.
Mm,
Her voice is mind blowing. Like
right.
I honestly I don't think I could think of a better artist vocally.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's my short list. And
that's
then the future of Lenny Zen, yeah, well, we're going on tour, so 11 stops
I gotta
with
plug
Queef
that in
Jerky.
right
Yeah,
here.
for sure, bro. That'll be sick. So yeah, first couple weeks of June, we'll be doing that. And then after that, other than like a couple standalone shows that we're looking to book towards like middle to end of summer,
Mhm.
just lock back in, like literally going back to the studio. I feel like I have a dozen ideas that are like ready to become songs that I just haven't had the time to like lock in and make songs. But yeah, man, I'm just excited to like keep growing, because I feel like this last project was like a solid level up, and I'm confident the next one will be at a level up. And it's just, yeah, just continuing to grow and have fun and make music, bro. Like it's also, yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, no, yeah. I the future is bright for Lenny Zen. I'm on the record saying that because man, once people just hear just a couple of those sounds you're creating, I'm sure they're gonna be addicted like I am.